Good morning, friends. We'll start today API 580 from 51 onwards. In the risk matrix below POF, is represented on the left side while the COF is represented in the bottom side. The effectiveness of past inspections are part of the determination of present risk. The future risk can now be influenced by future inspection activities. RBI can be used as a what-if tool, determine when, what and how inspections should be conducted to yield an acceptable future risk level. Another opportunity of managing inspection cost is by identifying items in the inspection plan that can be inspected non-intrusively on stream. When equipment deterioration has reached a point that the risk failure cannot be managed to an acceptable limit, replacement repair is often only the way to mitigate the risk. Sometimes equipment is over-designed for the process conditions. Re-rating the equipment may result in reduction of POF assessed for that item. Emergency isolation capability can reduce toxic explosion or fire consequences. In the event of release, proper location of isolation valves is key to successful risk mitigation. Remote operation is usually required to provide significant risk reduction. The method can be reduce damage and minimize the prevent escalation. A properly designed and operating system can greatly reduce the probability that a vessel exposed to fire will blave. Water spray delodge. Still water spray. I don't believe. Okay. In diagram below, the arrow is pointing to the ISO risk line. Just see through this the book. What is ISO risk line? They had not given the graph. Although significant changes may not have occurred over time, many small changes may occur and cumulatively cause significant changes in RBI assessment. The maximum interval between reassessment should be 10 years. One of the most important aspects of managing risk through RBI is the development and use of quantitative methodology. API 580 recommended practice RP is intended to provide guidance on developing a risk-based inspection RBI program for fixed equipment and piping in the hydrocarbon and chemical process industries. The recommended practice RP provides information on using risk analysis to develop an effective inspection plan. Both probability and failure and the consequence of failure should be evaluated by considering all credible damage mechanisms that that could be expected to affect the facilities or equipment. RBI is synonymous with risk prioritization inspection, risk informed inspection, inspection planning using risk-based methods, all of the above. The RBI plan produced according to guidance herein combined with comprehensive set of integrity operating windows for each process unit and rigorous MOC program. Management of change program should provide the basis of sound management of the integrity of the fixed equipment in the refining and petrochemical process industry. Likelihood of sometimes used as synonymous for probability. The purpose of this document is to provide user with the basic documents for developing, implementing, and maintaining a risk-based inspection RBI program. A spectrum of complementary risk analysis approaches, qualitative through fully qualitative, can be considered as part of inspection planning process. The primary work products of RBI assessment and management approach are plans that address ways to manage risk on an equipment level. RBI plans should include cost-effective actions along the projected risk mitigation. The RBI plans to identify equipment that doesn't require inspections or some other form of mitigation because of the acceptable level of risk associated with the equipment's current operation. RBI is based on sound proven risk assessment and management principles. RBI will not compensate for inaccurate missing information, inadequate designs, or faulty equipment installation. Utilization of RBI provides a vehicle for continuously improving the inspection of facilities and systematically reducing the risk associated with pressure boundary failures. RBI offers the added advantage of identifying gaps, shortcomings in the effectiveness of commercially available inspection technologies and applications. In case where technology cannot adequately and or cost effectively mitigate risks, other risk mitigation approaches can be implemented. RBI produced inspection and maintenance plans for equipment that identify the actions that should be taken to provide reliable and safe operation. RBI needs to integrate with management system for defining and maintaining IOWs, management of change, inspection operating windows, IOWs. The RBI process is focused on maintaining a mechanical integrity pressure, equipment items and minimizing the risk of loss of containment due to deterioration. RBI is not a substitute for EHA hazard and operability hazard. The following types of equipment and associated components internals are covered by API 580 except instrument and control system, except not covered. Rotating equipment, process piping, pressure relief device, all covered by 580. The following types of equipment and associated components internals are covered API 580 except electrical systems. So pressure vessels, storage tanks, heat exchangers, all included 580. The primary audience of RP is the inspection and engineering personnel who is responsible for the mechanical integrity and operability of the equipment covered by RP. RBI is not exclusively an inspection activity. An ideal and accurate description and quantification of risk, absolute risk. A concept of minimization that postulates that attributes such as risk can only be reduced a certain minimum under current technology and with a reasonable cost, as low as reasonably practical. A person who is knowledgeable and experienced in the specific process chemistries, corrosion degradation mechanisms, material selection, corrosion mitigation methods, corrosion monitoring techniques is a corrosion specialist. The amount of deterioration that component can withstand without failing is damage tolerance. Occurrences of a particular set of circumstances event. An analytical tool that organization characterizes potential occurrences in a logical and graphical manner. Event tree, not treed, event tree. I cannot, it is not word. Okay. The objective of RBI is direct management, decision processing, and prioritizing resources to manage risk. Implementing failure and process equipment is not avoided by inspection activities unless inspection precipitates risk mitigation activities that change the POF, probability of failure. The primary product in our RBI effort should be an inspection plan. For risk consideration unacceptable, the plan should contain the mitigation actions that are recommended to reduce the unmitigated task to acceptable level. The fitness for service assessment is often accomplished through the knowledge and expertise of the inspector and engineer involved when deterioration is within known acceptable limits, but on occasion will require an engineering analysis such as those contained in API 579. Some risks cannot be adequately managed by inspection alone. Examples where inspection may not be sufficient to manage the risk to acceptable levels are equipment nearing retirement, failure mechanisms such as brittle fracture, fatigue, consequence domain risk, all of the above. The risk-based inspection methodology is intended to complement the risk-based and safety initiative. The output of several of these initiatives can provide input to the RBI effort. The RBI outputs may be used to improve safety and risk-based initiative already implemented by organizations. Below are examples of some of these other initiatives except for the following. ALARP. Potential hazards identified in PHA will often affect the POF side of the risk equation. The RBI system will improve the focus of inspection plan, resulting in a strengthened PSM program. Equipment reliability programs can provide input to the probability analysis portion of the RBI program. We'll stop here.